So just a reminder, we are going to cover economics through 9 pillars. The first pillar is inequality, and perhaps the basis of economics is, or not the basis, the most frequent debate in economics, चाहे वो इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे हो, द इनइक्वालिटी बिटवीन द डेवलप्ड एंड द डेवलपिंग वर्ल्ड, चाहे वो नेशनल लेवल पे हो, देयर विल बी conservative parties which support more liberty. There will be socialist parties which support more equality. There will be some confused parties who will be doing Bharat Jodo. So even then, at the societal level, there will always be in the society a DLF city and rest of the place where we are living, and even inequality in your home between a girl child and a boy child, between an elder sibling and a younger sibling. Middle ones are irrelevant. So inequality is perhaps the most important uh, theme, not just in economy, but in any aspect of you take it society, you take environment, you take anything. You can extend this topic to anything. However, we will be uh, keeping our debate to the economic sphere only, because we have to see inequality, although we will definitely touch upon inequality being multi-dimensional. सिर्फ इकोनॉमी की इनइक्वालिटी नहीं है, इकोनॉमी मल्टी डायमेंशनल भी है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, शेड्यूल कास्ट, there is case of Dalit entrepreneurship, there is case of Dalit capitalism, they are rising. However, still social equality has not reached to them. You will see the case like in Una, somebody was celebrating by riding a horse in his or her wedding. That person got killed or got shot or something. So now we will also be discussing an important thing. Does economic equality or does economic growth guarantee socio-economic upliftment? So there we will be discussing GDP and its shortcomings, how GDP is not the end all or not the indicator to gauge the level of progress of an economy. We will also be discussing in the context of GDP, what is potential GDP and better indicators. For example, gross national happiness, green economy, ऐसे बहुत सारी चीजों को डिस्कस करेंगे. So we are starting with the first pillar. Uh, Across this class, EMP economics class will go for 9, 10 days, 12 days. There will be around 12 classes. These will cover your GS mains paper 3 syllabus. And why these classes are important? Because there is no one source. कोई एक पर्टिकुलर सोर्स इसका नहीं है. दिस इज द बेस्ट वे. लेट अस वर्क फॉर यू. Let us do all the hard work and collect information. Nobody else is doing it and putting everything in one place. So just focus on these classes. Whatever is done in class is more than enough, and just practice the answer writing. Okay. So with that said, I will not waste your time. In the other pillars we have already discussed in last class, and I think these first two videos, they will come on YouTube also, first two videos of every session. So you can also watch the pillars if anybody is not aware of the pillars that we are going to cover. So today's pillar, inequality. Quote, in economics, obviously we will be giving you a lot of statistics, lot of reports. Economics mains should be loaded with statistics and reports, but ऐसे meaningless नहीं. Reports will be usable, आप उसको use कर पाएंगे, and they will be explained to you, so you will carry those statistics till you gave mains. So we will be doing World Inequality Report 2022. There is also Piketty and Lucas report. It is titled as from British Raj to Billionaire Raj. Very interesting, by Thomas Piketty. He is considered to be the modern day Marx, modern Marx. He has written a very important book. मैं लिखवाऊंगा इसको. Capitalism in the 21st Century. He is considered to be one of the front runners of Economics Nobel Prize also very soon. Then this one report we have already done as part of our equality discussion in polity. If you remember, when I was doing equality reservation topic, तो उसके way forward में आपको social mobility report कराया था. Does anybody remember its findings? One of the very peculiar and alarming findings.
7 generation time required for intergenerational movement.
It takes an Indian 7 generations to transition from low income levels to middle income levels, or to make this income transition, it takes 7 janam. Whereas in Scandinavian countries, this happens within their lifetime. Third topic, understanding inequality. Now, here, understanding inequality purely from the socio-economic dimension. I am not going into the political dimension. From polity, you know what inequality means. We have done in detail. Article 14 बहुत detail में कर लिया. Equal protection of law, equality before law. All those discussions we have already done. This understanding inequality, it is from the socio-economic aspect. What are the causes of inequality? Impact of inequality. This impact in detail will be discussed as part of inclusive growth topic. क्योंकि बहुत सारे impact होंगे. Inequality से political impact है. Can anybody tell me कि सोसाइटी में ज्यादा इनइक्वालिटी होने से पॉलिटिकल इंपैक्ट क्या होगा?
Regionalism.
Okay, very good. One good idea is that there will be more regionalism. Absolutely true. What else?
Sir, if there will be equality, how will there be politics of vote bank?
Yes, if there is more inequality, there will be more vote bank politics. There will be things like free subsidized electricity, subsidized few other things, maybe subsidized massage also. So Revdi culture, yes, because there is so much inequality. People are giving vote just by the promise of free electricity, without thinking free electricity can last up till when? Till the discoms are having the capacity to buy power from power producers, manufacturers, power generators. So economics of free electricity, that is never a solution to providing cheap and affordable and clean access to affordable electricity. That is why the politicians of Delhi have come to the senses and have come up with voluntary opt-in for subsidies. अब अकल आ गई, but nobody is that concerned.
Like free internet revolution.
Then
if you want to this,
internet revolution.
like free data, it was not just free, it was very cheap available in India. That's why it's like internet revolution in India these days.
See, cheap data or free data again is a better enabler than free electricity. Why? Because free internet, it will actually bring education, health, skills, etc. to the underserved. Free bijli bill karna is nothing. Okay, you will have to reach to the masses with electricity connections, etc. You have seen that internet does have the power to give decentralized voices their power. You have YouTube influencers. You have people who play the great sacrifice of resigning from TV channels and to come to YouTube. So there is the whole narrative. Why? Because YouTube is where you can reach to the masses and you can make money. The day YouTube would not give money, आप अपने Ford Foundation में वापस चले जाएंगे. So it's not like people who are coming to do journalism on YouTube are doing it out of the search for truth. Anyways, enough propaganda. Please come here. GDP, potential GDP, and its drawback. Next heading. GDP, potential GDP, and its drawback. Then यहाँ के बाद का ब्रैकेट में यहाँ बना रहा हूँ. You can write growth versus development. This is directly mentioned in your syllabus also. So what is the difference between, because GDP में drawback है तभी growth versus development का debate आ रहा है. Then ways to address development. Now here I am not going to talk about how there can be development because of executive action or how, because of legislative action, because of judicial action, etc. Here we are in the domain of measuring. We are in the domain of statistical tools. GDP is a statistical tool. तो हम उसको सुधारना चाहते हैं पहले. Other steps, how to bring development in the economy, how to remove inequality, etc. Those things, concrete steps, we will be studying as part of inclusive growth and sustainable development. क्योंकि वो उसका पार्ट है. यहाँ पर क्या है, हम अपने स्टैटिस्टिक्स को, हम अपने टूल्स को पहले सही करना चाहते हैं. रीजन बीइंग, इकोनॉमिक्स में देयर इज अ कॉन्सेप्ट, इफ यू डोंट नो व्हाट टू मेजर, you will not know how to improve. That is why in our mentorship also every day we ask you कि आपने कितने घंटे पढ़ा, ये अपडेट कीजिए. उसका कारण क्या है? Because you should know every day how much you have studied. You know, the mind is such a powerful instrument in deceiving your own mind. 99.9% of the reason for anybody's failure is their own mind and the ability for it to deceive you. तो यहां पर भी इकोनॉमिक्स में भी जीडीपी इज अ डिसीविंग इंडिकेटर. तो उसके बजाय हमको सही इंडिकेटर्स रखने हैं. सो वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग बेटर इंडिकेटर्स. ग्रीन जीडीपी, टेल मी सम बेटर इंडिकेटर्स. बताइए. जेंडर इनइक्वालिटी,
Happiness index.
okay. Human development index, all propaganda index.
Happiness index.
Yes, last given by Bhutan, gross national happiness. Instead of measuring gross development, gross domestic product, we will be measuring gross national happiness, GNH, given by the king of Bhutan himself. And we will write its pillars and its domains, and very good. You will be surprised that gross national happiness you can apply in your everyday life as a student and you will be better. क्योंकि उसमें एक criteria है time use. How you use your time. That is an indicator of your gross national happiness. All of us, hands on our hearts, all of us do not have luxury of having off days, going and enjoying watching a cinema. If I ask you, these 20, 25, 30 people present in class, आप में से कितने लोगों ने तुरंत आपको याद हुआ कि मैंने लास्ट ये मूवी जाके सिनेमा हॉल में देखी है? Or you went to a festival, fair. How many of you remember?
Yes,
Me.
sir.
एक.
Yes, sir.
2-3 लोग. So is it because you don't have time or because you don't have the right utilization of time? That is the problem in UPSC preparation. We don't utilize our daily schedule. We stretch it to study on days where we should not. Study it like a job. जैसे सुबह 9 बजे से लेके शाम के 5 बजे तक आपकी नौकरी होती और वहां जो आपको करना होता वो सारी चीजें करिए. You don't have the luxury to sleep. You don't have the luxury of a 2-hour lunch break, nap, chat with friend, etc. Take it as a job. 9 to 5, 9 to 6. उसके बाद करिए rest of the time whatever nonsense you want to do. Treat it as a job. Have a Sunday off. You will see your efficiency, your coverage, etc. is much better than what it is right now, where you are studying from morning 6 o'clock to night 11 o'clock. Effectively, you only know what we are studying. Okay. Last topic. Way forward. And way forward में inclusive growth and sustainable development. So let us start with the quote. Right? Inherited wealth and invested capital. Inherited wealth, विरासत में मिली पुश्तैनी संपत्ति, पैतृक संपत्ति. पैतृक तो पेट्रियार्कल हो जाएगा ना. Inherited wealth and invested capital grow faster than income. It was written in the book Capitalism in the 21st Century by Thomas Piketty. ये बताइए आपकी सैलरी ज्यादा तेज ग्रो करती है या इन शेयर मार्केट में जो पैसा लगा है?
Shares, sir.
सैलरी ग्रो करती है.
Share.
प्लीज टेल अस.
Share market is
Share market.
हाँ, डूबता भी जल्दी है. इन्हीं क्लास के बाद जाके अब इन्वेस्टेड कैपिटल गोज फास्टर देन इनकम. सारी सैलरी उधर लगा दो. So his idea is that the wealth that you have or the capital that you invest, you have money, you have property, those grow or give dividends faster than your salary growth. His idea again was, बाद में क्या बोलेंगे ये, वेल्थ को टैक्स कीजिए, कैपिटल पे क्या लगाइए, लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन्स टैक्स. Okay, so I'm just explaining because I think Raj or somebody asked me कि कोड का context भी बता दिया कीजिए. सिर्फ कोड से काम नहीं चल पाता. So is this quote understood? Inherited wealth and invested capital grow faster than income. Income is your
Yes, sir.
salary. Your salary is, I think, after 100 years they grow by 10% in your companies. Next point.
So is he a Marxist?
He is called as modern Marx.
Piketty.
Yes, Piketty.
Okay.
मार्क्स की किताब का नाम क्या है?
Das Capitalism.
Das कैपिटल. तो इन्होंने क्या लिखा? कैपिटलिज्म इन 21st सेंचुरी. लेक्स लिखिए. But what he is saying is actually true. Therefore, wealth should be taxed. और सरकार ने लॉन्ग टर्म कैपिटल गेन्स तो लगा ही दिए, वरना आप शेयर मार्केट में स्पेक्यूलेट करके यू विल मेक वेल्थ आउट ऑफ नथिंग, है ना. नेक्स्ट. When women do better, economies do better? Christian Lagarde, Managing Director of International Monetary Fund, IMF. When women do better, economies do better. I think she was referring to the Chinese economy. अभी लिख मत लेना. These are
Co-founder is Geeta Gopinath also chair.
Geeta Gopinath is chief economist at IMF.
Okay.
अच्छा, please don't write that here she mentions Chinese economy. I'm saying she इनके ऊपर एक चार्ज लगा था ना, of helping the Chinese economy, showing exaggerated figure for Chinese growth, etc.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
So please take the joke in that context. World Inequality Report by World Inequality Lab. एक बात अच्छी है कि नाम जो है याद करने में डिफिकल्टी नहीं होगी. So World Inequality Report by World Inequality Lab 2022. This report for the first time mentions the impact of COVID-19 also. तो पहली बात तो at the world level or international level, what are their findings? Distribution of wealth. How much do the top 1% own? Top 10%. 76% of all wealth. Whereas the poorest half, गरीब 50% लोग, the poorest half own less than 2%. Can you imagine 50% of population having less than 2% of the total world's wealth? Less than 2% of all wealth. With respect to gender inequality, are women making more money or less money than before?
More money.
Yes, definitely women are making more money. So write about gender equality. Women's share of total income from work. Women's share from total, women's share of total income from work was 30% in 1990 and 35% now. Yani in 30 years, it has only grown by 5%. 30% in 1990 and 35% now. Impact of COVID on inequality. What would be the impact of COVID-19 on inequality? Increased or decreased?
Increase.
Increase.
Yes. लिखिए. Europe, Latin America, South Asia, साउथ एशिया में कौन लोग रह रहे हैं?
हम लोग.
हम लोग. इंडियन सब कॉन्टिनेंट इज नोन एज साउथ एशिया एंड साउथ ईस्ट एशिया. एशियन कंट्रीज. साउथ ईस्ट एशिया. Recorded the largest drops in income, national income. In the range of, in bracket, -6 to -8%. यानी कि 2020 में सपोज इंडियन इकोनॉमी अगर $3 ट्रिलियन था और उसमें 10% रिड्यूस हो गया, यानी 30 बिलियन गॉट वाइप्ड आउट. 30 बिलियन भी नहीं, 300 बिलियन वुड बी वाइप्ड आउट ऑफ इंडिया. So there is a drop of 6 to 8%. Now, with respect to India, what are the findings? India has been categorized as a poor and very unequal country. गरीब हैं और unequal भी है. The distribution of wealth in India. How much do the top 1% own?
80.
Top 1%, not 10%. Top 1% own 20% of total national income in 2021. 2021 में पूरे देश ने जितना कमाया, the national income of that 20% went to just top 1% of the population. So out of 1.35 billion people, the top 1% got 20%. While the bottom half just 13%. कितनी भी घिसाई कर ली बॉटम हाफ ने, नेशनल इनकम में उनको 13% ही मिला. दिस इज नॉट अबाउट वेल्थ, दिस इज अबाउट नेशनल इनकम. विमेन के केस में लिख लीजिए जेंडर इनइक्वालिटी. The share of women in total income from work is 18%. दुनिया 35% पे पहुंच गई है, इंडिया में शेयर ऑफ women's income from work is 18%. Now second, Piketty and Lucas report. Piketty and Lucas, right? The report titled From British Raj to Billionaire Raj. So you can draw diagram. Economics में आपको diagrams जरूर बनाने हैं. I mean, not diagrams, graphs. So 1922 में This year has been taken because इसी साल से ब्रिटेन ने इनकम टैक्स इंट्रोड्यूस किया इंडिया में. इनकम टैक्स वाज चार्ज्ड. The share of national income to the top 1% was 21%. In 1980s, thanks to Mrs. Gandhi's various expeditions, this fell to 6%. And in 2014, it is now 22%. So लिख लीजिए. This is national income of top 1%. This is year. ऐसे ऐसे देखिए. The share of national income accruing to top 1% was highest in 2014. The share of national income accruing to top 1% was highest in 2014. Since 1922, when income tax was introduced for the first time. Third, social mobility report. By World Economic Forum. Global Social Mobility Report. It takes an average Indian it takes an average Indian 7 generations to transition from lower income group to middle income group. Whereas in Scandinavian countries, this happens within lifetime. Next, understanding inequality. So ये बताइए, does inequality mean only economic inequality? अमीर गरीब का फर्क बताइए. If
No, sir.
government were to come up tomorrow with let's say universal basic income, everybody who is earning less than whatever is World Bank's like $1.9. So whoever is earning less than that, suppose they are getting one fixed income, everybody, irrespective of whether they are in whichever list, etc. Will that reduce poverty in India?
No, sir.
No, because first of all, inequality is multidimensional. So it is not just economic inequality. Do we have access to health care, quality education? बोलिए, हर जगह तो नहीं है ना मोहल्ला क्लिनिक. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Liquor store is there, easier to build liquor store. You don't understand. So
दवा
this
मिलती
भारत
है हर
जोड़ो
जगह.
यात्रा, हाँ?
दवा का इंतजाम हर जगह कर दिया सरकार ने.
प्रचार भी कर दिया है ना? प्रचार में दवाई देके अच्छा आपका बिल इतने से इतना कम हो गया. It is so remarkable. The PR in India is fabulous. I mean, Western countries should learn PR. अचानक आपकी दाढ़ी बढ़ जाती है. It grows in a particular fashion for you to look not as a 46-year-old clown, but as a mature person. चलते चलते दाढ़ी बढ़ के सफेद हो जाती है. The idea, I think, about this Bharat Jodo Yatra, I mean, the PR company, whoever is handling this, they must have related it with Gandhiji's Dandi March. But I don't think this will be successful for one particular reason. जो ये यात्रा होती है ना, चाहे बीजेपी ने ही यात्रा करी, you or I may have disagreement कि उस यात्रा का पर्पस गलत था. For example, अयोध्या, which I think Ram Janmabhoomi Yatra they also did, no, in 1990s. रथ यात्रा. तो उसका एक पर्टिकुलर पर्पस और एक पर्टिकुलर नैरो मैसेज था कि इसलिए कर रहे हैं. भारत जोड़ो मतलब specific, the only reason why this will not work is because you have taken गांधी जी ने भी ये थोड़ी ना बोला कि I am walking to throw away the Britishers from India. No, he took a very narrow subject. I will go and produce salt and I will therefore be launching civil disobedience movement from that. That messaging part, I think they did not get it right. Otherwise, it is very nice.
इससे बेटर तो सदगुरु का सेव सॉइल भी चल गया था. It was a huge success.
that again has a purpose. Save the soil.
Yes.
भाई यहाँ पर भारत जोड़ो का क्या मतलब है? आप ऐसे कोई और पर्टिकुलर पर्पस रखते तो शायद people could have been able to link. Otherwise, yes, people they may go in the city and that movement, उस दिन खाना मिलेगा, पानी मिलेगा, पैसा मिलेगा, भीड़ लगाएंगे. भारत में तो अगर आप जहर भी बांटेंगे तो लोग लाइन में लगा के लेंगे एक बार को. Let us keep it at home. पड़ोसी को देने का काम आएगा. But
Can we
the
mention
long-term
it, sir?
messaging, I don't think it will work. Huh?
Can we mention
You
that
can
वो सेव
mention.
सॉइल वाला जो है, वो सेव सॉइल वाला एनवायरनमेंट है, किसी भी एग्जांपल वगैरह
हाँ,
है?
NGO movement आप लिखिए बिल्कुल भाई. It is a movement, I think, which is endorsed by UNCCD, UNESCO. He has given an address
International,
conference.
every country they endorse it.
हाँ नहीं, and this has been taken up. This matter has been taken up by UN agencies. And save your soil is definitely a good movement. Anyways, so right, inequality is multidimensional. Social inequality. political inequality, economic inequality. Give me some examples of social inequality.
Caste-based system.
Okay. Caste discrimination. Or you can write caste-based fragmented society.
Gender inequality.
Gender inequality, okay. जेंडर इनइक्वालिटी नहीं, अगर बार बार ये शब्द यूज कर लिया है तो पेट्रियार्की लिख लीजिए. स्मैश ब्राह्मणिकल पेट्रियार्की. That's not my statement. There was somebody who wore the previous founder of Twitter. So, other simple inequalities: access to healthcare. I think these people are most tolerant. Everybody has to find a scapegoat. किसको गाली दे, अपनी नाकामी के लिए हम किसको कोसे? Let us go back few thousand centuries ago and blame all our faults upon them. Okay. Works every time. You will sleep better at night. So access to healthcare, भारत में 66% expenditure on healthcare is
Out of pocket.
out of pocket. You just see the psyche of Indians. I think if I take a survey in this class, 60% of us are not having health insurance. बीमार होंगे, 10 लाख 20 लाख रुपए देंगे, जमीन जायदाद लेके, लोन लेके, कर्जा लेके बचाएंगे, but not to invest that 7,000, 10,000, 15,000 every year on health insurance.
I took especially for UPSC preparations. मुझे
For
पता था
you,
बीमार कर देगी.
for UPSC preparation, I think it is not covered.
No, I especially took it because of it, because I will be sitting at home and I will not be doing activities which I was doing in BSF or army. So that's why I took.
There is no insurance for laziness. You will be disqualified. So access to healthcare, 66%. No, it's good that you're taking. Other people should follow. You become their insurance agent. Sabka kar dijiye. Equal amount will be paid by IS Academia. Talk to AB sir, not me. So 66% expenditure on healthcare is out of pocket expenditure. Nowhere in the world, even the best of the medical systems in the world, they work on medical insurance. वहां पर अगर आप बीमार हो गए और आपके पास मेडिकल इंश्योरेंस नहीं है तो आपका मरना बेटर आइडिया है देन टेकिंग ट्रीटमेंट. They will come to India and get treatment in that case. Less than 20% of the population has insurance coverage. Next, education. What is the issue with access to quality education? भारत में 377 मिलियन illiterates. According to UNESCO. 377 million illiterates. I hope all of you know how literacy is counted in India, right? A person who has the ability to read and write his own name is a literate. But still, these 377 million people are illiterate according to UNESCO. What about quality education? Yes, sir. Report by Pratham. This report shows the lack of quality education. एक 5th क्लास का बच्चा he is not able to read an English textbook of class 1, not able to solve the mathematics of class standard 2. That is the status of quality education in India. What about political inequality? Is there access to equal opportunity? बताइए. Dynastic politics, criminalization of politics. There is no access to equal opportunity. There is no political inequality in India. Economic inequality, we have already discussed the several report. For example, Oxfam report एक और लिख सकते हैं आप. The report was titled Reward Work, Not Wealth. This report says, while more than 1200 million, 12 million लोग unemployed हो गए during COVID, the wealth of top 1% increased by 39%. COVID के समय में भी where 12 million people got unemployed in the first wave, top 1%, their wealth increased. So inequality in India is not merely economic inequality, but economic, social, political inequality. In that context, impact we will be discussing in inclusive growth. Let us understand the causes. What are the causes for inequality in India? भारत में inequality के causes बताइए.
Sir, poor implementation of land reforms.
One is definitely failure of land reforms. All of you know there was lack of political will. Many issues were there with respect to land reform. Political will nahi tha. Second, there was collusion. मिले सुर मेरा तुम्हारा. You give a UPSC interview में, I will serve the poor, and then you have assets worth how many crore? 83. 100 crore. Okay.
83.
अब मतलब सोचना चाहिए था कि उतना ही रखे जितना बचा पाइए. And imagine if she is having 83 crores, what about her ministers? But they won't be caught. So there was collusion also. भाई जो सीलिंग करने ऑफिसर आया उसको आपने पैसे देके बचवा लिया लैंड. आपने लैंड जो है अपने ही रिलेटिव्स के नाम पे ट्रांसफर करा लिया, या जो लैंड ट्रांसफर किया दोज वर इनफर्टाइल लैंड्स, barren lands. So through various ways, land sealing was and abolition of zamindari was sidetracked. So failure of land reforms definitely is one of the reasons. Maybe when we get half an hour, 45 minutes any day extra, so very quickly I will do this topic. Although land reform पे बहुत सालों से question नहीं आया है, but in context of land monetization, in context of land bank, in context of
पिछले साल आया था
geospatial.
शायद.
हाँ?
पिछले साल आया था लैंड रिफॉर्म्स में.
पिछले समय.
हाँ.
पिछले समय मतलब
पिछले साल
आया था, but in the last 5-6 years I am talking about.
Yes.
तो हाँ, last 5-6 years में नहीं है. So land reform and land acquisition. Land reform में various parts है. Those parts I think it will take 45 minutes. एक बार करा देंगे because this is traditional part of your economics. but still we will do it. So अभी के लिए लिख लीजिए failure of land reforms. The points that I was explaining, how land ceiling act was sidetracked, how there was collusion, etc. Those things we will discuss. Second, other reasons for inequality.
Lack of
Sir,
quality education
concentration
and
of
skill.
Concentration of wealth.
yes,
That is
sir,
an
in the
impact
hands.
output. It is not a cause. वो effect है. Structure of Indian economy. Yes, structural change in Indian economy. India, it is said that India has a precocious growth model. Economic services, India has precocious growth model. Precocious की spelling देख लेना यार एक बार. Because India transitioned from agriculture directly to services sector. Another reason for inequality in India, agriculture even currently employs 45% of workforce directly, and if you count directly and indirectly, then over 60% of the workforce, but contributes how much to the GDP?
4%.
10%.
15-16.
Yes, contributes. It has been stagnant between 15 to 17%. Most commonly it is 15%. So contributes only 15% to the GDP. यानी वर्कफोर्स के अगर 100 लोग हैं, उसमें से 45 लोग काम कर रहे हैं और 15 रुपए ही लेके आ रहे हैं, बाकी 55 लोग हैं वो 85 रुपए कमा रहे हैं. Obviously, by its own structure, this will lead to inequality. So these structural changes in Indian economy, that is also a cause for inequality. Then failure of anti-poverty alleviation programs. See, anti-poverty alleviation programs, they have not been successful. In fact, you already know that one of India's erstwhile prime ministers, on the floor of the house, he considered that if the government wants to transfer 1 rupee to its citizens as subsidy, it has to spend ₹3 on administrative expenses, and still only 15 paisa reaches to the beneficiary. 85 पैसा उसमें से भी खा जाते हैं सरकारी अफसर, और ये ट्रांसफर करने के पूरे तंत्र में उनका डेटा लेके आओ, फिर उसके बाद उनको you call to the offices, have that entire administrative machinery from center, state to the local level, then call them, give them the money physically. All that entire machinery costs ₹3, and still you are able to give benefits only of ₹15 paisa. That is why the government has gone towards which model now? Jandhan. Jandhan is financial inclusion. Next step, DBT, direct benefit transfer.
Direct benefit.
सीधा आपके खाते में पैसा आ गया. खाता जो है आपके आधार से लिंक्ड है, आधार से पता चल गया कि आप बेनिफिशियरी है कि नहीं है, आधार आपके इनकम टैक्स से लिंक है, आधार आपके मोबाइल से भी लिंक है, आधार से पता चल गया कि आप बेनिफिशियरी है कि नहीं. अगर आप बेनिफिशियरी हैं तो आपके अकाउंट में चला गया, आपका आधार नंबर आपके मोबाइल नंबर से लिंक्ड है, मोबाइल नंबर इज लिंक्ड टू योर बैंक, यू गेट अ मैसेज, यू हैव गॉट द मनी. दिस इज नोन एज जैम ट्रिनिटी. जनधन आधार मोबाइल, ये आपका बैंक अकाउंट है, ये आपका आइडेंटिफिकेशन है आधार, ये आपका मोबाइल जो है कॉन्फर्मेशन ऑफ सब्सिडी या एक्सेस टू सब्सिडी, पैसा चला गया है, खाते में आ गया है, मैसेज आएगा. So but the anti-poverty alleviation programs, they have not been successful because of leakages, corruption. Take PDS for example, full of corruption, leakages, etc. Therefore government had to come up with various reforms in PDS. जब हम PDS टॉपिक पढ़ेंगे तो PDS से हम TPDS पे आए, sorry, targeted public distribution system. So we will discuss that next. Next reason, crony capitalism and corruption. What is India's tax to GDP ratio? बताइए. Tax to GDP. Nobody knows India's tax to GDP. 10%, 12%, 12.6, 4%,
4%.
8%,
17%.
17%.
Only 18% people pay tax, man.
It is 16 point something. So of the 100 rupees increase in GDP, how much is the increase in taxation? Only 16 rupees. So, right, India's tax to GDP ratio is low. From its peers. Of similar levels of economic growth. जो 4 कह रहे थे जो व्यक्ति, that is number of taxpayers to number of voters. There are 4 taxpayers for every 100 voters. Scandinavian countries में there are 96 taxpayers to every 100 voters. So this highlights what? India में there is tax evasion, tax avoidance. There is black money and money laundering.
Unawareness भी लिख सकते हैं क्या?
Unawareness.
They don't even know how to pay tax. It's so complicated.
Who does not know that they have to pay tax?
Unorganized sector भी लिख सकते हैं.
हाँ, large scale unorganized sector definitely. But अभी उस पे हम आएंगे that in India there is informal sector. But आप जो कह रहे हैं दीपेश कि awareness नहीं है, in the eyes of the law, ignorance about the law is not a ground for not being guilty.
Yes.
And everybody knows here that you have to pay tax. So next, low manufacturing base. India has not been industrialized to its capacity. Potential GDP जो है हमारा from industrial sector, it is very very low. Industrial capacity हमारी बहुत low है for various reasons. Premature deindustrialization. भारत में इंडस्ट्रीज क्यों लगी? इसलिए because they make economic sense or they made political sense. The earliest industrial locations, they were out of political reasons and not economic reasons. And therefore they were shut.
Yes, sir.
Also the economic model was a was a planned model of growth. We have public sector in heavy industries, etc. We did not grow, so it led to premature deindustrialization. हमारी इंडस्ट्रीज जिस कैपेसिटी पे पहुंच के सर्विसेज सेक्टर पे जाती, वहां तक वो कभी पहुंची नहीं. In many states, Bihar, etc., there is no industrial base. In West Bengal, if Tata wants to set up, you make a protest. So premature deindustrialization. Also, India में large informal sector. Formalization बहुत कम है. India में there are few very large companies. Few large companies. Tata.
Oligopoly.
अरे यार पढ़ लो यार, ठीक है आपने समझ लिया है. ओलिगोपोली और ये सब मत बोलिए. एक मिनट देख लीजिए जो मैं बता रहा हूं. Few large companies. Many small, medium, micro enterprises. And what is not present in the middle? India में या तो there are few large companies, otherwise there are micro, small, medium enterprises. There is nothing in middle. This is known as the missing middle issue. India में बहुत सारे medium countries, medium companies, middle companies नहीं है. Either there are very large corporate houses या फिर everything is in the informal sector. Any other cause? For rising inequality? Policy induced inequality. Name some iconic policies which have induced inequality in India. बताइए प्यारे बच्चों.
The Green Revolution.
Yes, first of all it is green revolution. This created a major wedge between northwestern India and northeastern India. Green revolution became successful only in Punjab, Haryana, parts of Rajasthan, whereas it was a non-starter in UP, Bihar, etc. This created few very large farmers who will come today and protest if government brings a electricity law, because they have the money. आप सर्विसेज सेक्टर में 10% TDS कटाएंगे, but farmers earning 1 crore, 2 crore, taxable income in agriculture is what? Zero. Agriculture income is non-taxable in India. So green revolution, it created inequality between the northwestern India and northeastern India, or northwestern states and northeastern states. इसमें आप ये भी कह सकते हैं कि green revolution created more inequality between landless farmers and farmers with large land holding. उनको ज्यादा फायदा हुआ. और between big farmers and small and marginal farmers. और northwest India versus east and northeast. Then second is liberalization, privatization, globalization. This has created jobless growth. In fact, even World Inequality Report, it says that after LPG, inequality in India has increased multiple times or many times. भले इंडिया की जीडीपी बहुत तेज ग्रो करी है, इंडिया हैज बिकम रिचर, बट द गवर्नमेंट एंड द पीपल हैव बिकम पुअरर. बहुत अच्छी लाइन लिखी हुई थी उसमें. With liberalization, privatization and globalization, the country has become richer, but the government and the people have become poorer. So government के पास भी पैसा कम आ रहा है because government has exited many sectors. Now business is owned by private entities. Government is having less money to spend. A major portion of the people are also poor because LPG reforms have given benefit to only a particular section. एक particular section of Indians, they benefited from LPG. So that is liberalization, privatization and globalization has led to jobless growth. Any other policy induced inequality?
Sir, can we say about demonetization? Not sure.
You can say after 2029, hopefully, but maybe 2035 or maybe 22nd century if Modi ji lives for that long. I mean, right now the narrative is that we shouldn't write that demonetization, anything negative for demonetization. Reason being not just because the current government is in power, etc. There has not been clear establishment that demonetization has increased inequality. Yes, demonetization has hurt India's growth. That has clearly been established क्योंकि demonetization के बाद quarter after quarter Indian economy's growth had slowed down. बहुत अच्छा हुआ. Now, don't take it in a wrong sense. That for this government, that COVID happened. Otherwise, if you see the data before that, from 8% growth, we had come to 4 to 5% growth. And this was reducing quarter after quarter. Already Indian economy was slowing because of demonetization and GST, twin shocks. I take my words back, bahut acha hua in the sense that is a wrong thing to say. So I am saying that for this government, COVID hit their economic failure. क्योंकि इसके बाद ये 4 या 5% की जो ग्रोथ थी वो कहाँ चली गई? -23%. -23 पे जाने के बाद अगले साल आप क्या दिखा रहे हैं? We are growing at 8%, 11%. But what is the base for this 8 and 11%? This 8% is over what? -23 है ना? इकोनॉमिक्स में इसीलिए base is important. So policy induced inequality, green revolution, LPG, labor laws. Definitely it can be said that labor laws in India have done more harm than good. Economic services, there was regulatory cholesterol. This led to exit challenge in India. What is exit challenge in India? Economic survey famously called it as the Chakravyuh challenge. अभिमन्यु को अंदर जाना तो आता था चक्रव्यूह में, लेकिन बाहर निकलना नहीं आता था. सिमिलरली इंडियन इकोनॉमी में चक्रव्यूह चैलेंज या एग्जिट चैलेंज क्या है?
बिजनेस शट करना.
Yes, it took Indians 4 years, average 4 years to wind up business in India. जो formalities करनी है आपको to wind up business in India, it took 4 years. Whereas New Zealand में in other countries, Japan, it takes less than a year. और India में now it takes 1 day to start a business. New Zealand में it was always there, less than 24 hours to start a business. But however, India में exit challenge is a bigger issue. अब आप ये सोचिए आपकी कंपनी परफॉर्म नहीं कर रही है, जो बचा सचा आपका है, you should wrap it up, sell it. तो उससे क्या होगा, that your factors of production they can be put to better use. आपका land, labor, investment in machinery. However, आपको बंद ही नहीं करने दिया जा रहा है because of several reasons. You are following a process जिसमें it takes 4 years without producing, without earning. You are just waiting to shut down the company. So there was problem of exit challenge. In fact, exit challenge will lead to NPAs in India. One of the reasons for NPA is the problem of exit. So policy induced inequality. These are the causes. Now impact we will be doing in inclusive growth topic, क्योंकि दोनों जगह सेम ही impact है. Inequality का impact या फिर lack of inclusive growth का impact, दोनों का same है. So we will be writing there. Now give the head GDP, potential GDP and its drawback. So what is GDP? By now all of you know what is GDP.
Total value of production in the territory.
Total value in the territory. Anybody else? So it is first of all monetary value. It will never be calculating the value of how much of rice is produced. Rice will be produced in kgs. Wine will be produced in liters. उसके बाद bread will be produced in packets. How will you calculate ये सबका production? You convert it into its monetary value. So GDP is the monetary value of what?
Finished
Final goods and
goods.
services.
Yes, all goods and services. But ये monetary value किसका होगा? Final monetary value. So that there is no double counting. Bread में आप wheat का दाम नहीं जोड़ रहे हैं. You just count the bread. It counts the wheat also, which was its raw material or which was an intermediary good. So final monetary value of all goods and services produced in a territory. Territory means it does not matter who is producing in India, whether he is an Indian, whether he is a foreigner, whether he is a corporation, whether he is a government entity, XYZ, whoever is producing in the territory of India is part of the India's GDP in a fixed period of time. Fixed period of time. This is known as GDP. So लिख लीजिए, GDP is the final monetary value of all goods and services produced in a territory in a fixed period of time. Obviously, GDP is measured in two ways: nominal GDP versus real GDP. जब भी क्वेश्चन में रियल इंटरेस्ट रेट, रियल जीडीपी, रियल ग्रोथ, whenever such a term is mentioned, be very careful. What does it mean? एक एग्जांपल बताते हैं. सपोज इंडिया में 10 गाड़ियां प्रोड्यूस हो रही है. एवरी कार इज हैविंग मॉनेटरी वैल्यू ऑफ 1 लाख रुपीस. तो टोटल जीडीपी इंडिया का कितना हो गया? 1 लाख रुपीस. एक जीरो बढ़ा दें इसमें, so it will be 10 lakh rupees. This 10 lakh rupees is India's GDP in 2022. Now let us consider 2023. 2023 में India's economy is not growing. There is a slowdown in India's economy because of, let's say, for example, COVID. Instead of 10 cars, 8 cars are only manufactured. But खरीदने वाले लोग ज्यादा हैं. There are more people who demand car. 2 cars की already shortage है. तो ये बताइए, ये जो 1 लाख रुपए दाम है, that 1 lakh rupees cost, will it increase or decrease?
Increase.
Yes. So this car suppose is costing now 1,35,000. या 1,25,000 कर देते हैं, जोड़ने में आसानी रहे. नहीं, बढ़ा देते हैं, 10 लाख से ऊपर करेंगे तो आपको थोड़ा सा अच्छे से समझ आएगा. Suppose each car is now costing 1,50,000. So now what is the total GDP here?
14.
40. क्या 14?
12 lakh.
12 lakhs.
1 lakh.
किसका सी सेट था ये? 14.
Yes, sir, वो मैंने वो 10 में जोड़ दिया गलती से.
I will tell Amit sir. Yes. 12 lakhs. अब मुझे ये बताइए, इंडिया की जीडीपी तो डेटा के हिसाब से बढ़ गई, बट आर वी प्रोड्यूसिंग मोर कार्स और लेस कार्स?
Less. Less cars.
Less cars. So in nominal sense, has our GDP increased? Nominal GDP क्या होगा? 12 minus 10 upon 10 into 100, 2/10 into 100. कितने परसेंट बढ़ गया हमारा? Nominal GDP increased by 2/10 into 100. What is the GDP growth rate in nominal terms?
20%.
12 लाख इस साल है, 10 लाख पिछले साल है. बेस में हमेशा पिछला लेते हैं. परसेंटेज में हमेशा बेस में क्या आता है? Of the value from which it has changed, not the changed value. So nominal GDP is growth rate is 20%, whereas real GDP क्या है? एक्चुअली में 8 कार्स जो है 1 लाख के हिसाब से कितना हुआ है? 8 lakhs. So 10 minus 8 upon 10 into 100, 2/10 into 100. Real GDP in franc has shrunk. Indian economy जो है, it has shrunk by 20%. Whereas nominal GDP is saying Indian GDP has grown by 20%. So here it is accounted, not accounted for inflation, and real GDP is accounted for inflation. ये मेंस के नोट्स में कुछ मत लिखिएगा, आपके समझाने के लिए है. So nominal GDP does not account for inflation, real GDP accounts for inflation. Now India's finance minister very smartly, she always these years is quoting nominal GDP rate in the budget. She should rather quote real GDP, not nominal GDP. तो जब तक आरबीआई ने इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल कर रखा था, तब तक गवर्नमेंट रियल जीडीपी का डेटा दे रही थी. अभी जब इन्फ्लेशन 7% चला गया है, तो गवर्नमेंट इज गिविंग नॉमिनल जीडीपी डेटा. So anyways, is this concept of nominal GDP and real GDP clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So now you tell me, what is the limitations? Sorry, what is potential GDP? पोटेंशियल जीडीपी का क्या अर्थ है? जीडीपी तो समझ आ गया, बहुत सिंपल डेफिनेशन लिख लीजिए पोटेंशियल जीडीपी का। द हाईएस्ट मार्केट वैल्यू of goods and services that can be produced in an economy over a period of time is potential GDP. It is a theoretical aspect. सिर्फ थ्योरी में ये पॉसिबल है. Which assumes that an economy has achieved full employment and that aggregate demand does not exceed aggregate supply. मतलब demand is never more than supply. Supply always meets demand. Aggregate demand does not exceed aggregate supply. So पोटेंशियल जीडीपी जो है उसके डिटर्मिनेंट्स क्या होंगे? पोटेंशियल जीडीपी में भी एक छोटा सा डायग्राम बना लीजिए. व्हाट इज पोटेंशियल जीडीपी? डिटर्मिनेंट्स एंड चैलेंजेस. So what are the determinants of potential GDP? अच्छा, potential GDP GDP और GNP, सॉरी NDP, इन तीनों में डिफरेंस क्या है? बताइए.
Sir, NDP counts all nationals in India and outside India.
नहीं, that is
Gross and
NNP. NDP तो
gross and national
depreciation.
depreciation minus.
हाँ, जो आप बोल रहे हैं वो GNP, ग्रॉस नेशनल. इसको बहुत इजी वे में आपको समझा देते हैं. पोटेंशियल जीडीपी इज व्हाट इज यूपीएससी डिमांड और यूपीएससी सिलेबस. एक सिलेबस दे दिया यूपीएससी ने आपको, 2075 मार्क्स का एग्जाम ले लेते हैं, मेंस और इंटरव्यू मिला के. जीडीपी इज द प्लानर वी गिव यू एंड व्हाट यू अचीव इज प्लानर माइनस डेप्रिसिएशन. जो कट कुटा के आप पढ़ पाए. So we are preparing you for 1100 marks. 1100 will get rank 1. 1100 minus 100, लास्ट में क्या बचा? NDP. So potential GDP, GDP and NDP. Potential GDP is the maximum GDP that can be produced, where employment is at full capacity, where demand never exceeds supply. GDP is what is achieved by the economy every year. It is the monetary value of the total production of goods and services, final production. NDP is the depreciation that is removed for wear and tear. So what are the determinants of potential GDP? One is capital formation. या लिख लीजिए ICOR. नहीं, पहला कैपिटल फॉर्मेशन है, ठीक है. कैपिटल फॉर्मेशन. सो कैपिटल फॉर्मेशन का मतलब क्या हुआ? हाउ मच ऑफ capital goods you have in the economy, that will directly affect how much GDP you can produce. आपके पास प्लांट है, इक्विपमेंट है, लेबर है to produce 100 cars. You have the plant and equipment for producing 100 cars, whereas I have the plant and capital to produce 50 cars. So between the two of us, if we are working at our full potential, who will produce more? You have the equipment, the machinery for 100 cars. I have the equipment and machinery for 50 cars. Who will
100
produce?
cars.
Yes,
100
you can.
cars.
At your potential, you will be producing 100 cars. So capital formation is one determinant. इसका लिख लीजिए. In an economy, the stock of capital goods and other assets help with production and determine potential GDP. Second is ICOR. What is ICOR? Incremental capital output ratio. इसका क्या मतलब है? कितना और मिनिमम कैपिटल आपको डालना है that your output increases by 1. यानी कि कितना और आपको हम फोन पे डांटें कि नेक्स्ट डे आप 10 मिनट ज्यादा पढ़ पाए, 1 मिनट ज्यादा, 1 घंटा ज्यादा, व्हाटएवर. सो इकोनॉमी में हाउ मच मोर कैपिटल शुड यू पुट to increase your output by 1? If you have to put a lot of capital and your output is only increasing by 1, is it a good sign or a bad sign?
Bad sign.
Bad sign.
Bad sign. So India's ICOR is 4. It should be, if it is reduced to 3, India's GDP will grow by 12%. So India's current ICOR is 4. So if I invest 4 capital, my output increases by 1. If we just bring our ICOR to 3, India's GDP can grow at 12%. So likhiye, India needs to reduce its incremental capital output ratio. India needs to decrease its ICOR from 4 to 3. Third determinant, labor force. Anybody from Kerala? There's something called Noko Kuli or something, no?
Nakkukulli.
Nako Kuli. The union comes, they refuse to work. If somebody is working at a lesser wage, they will beat that person also. So efficiency of workforce, काम करना भी आता है कि नहीं आता है. Then skills तो खैर efficiency में ही आ गया. Efficiency of workforce is one factor. Labor laws, how flexible is your hiring and firing policy? The labor laws, because if labor laws are flexible, then you will employ more people to reach potential GDP. अगर आपके लेबर लॉज ऐसे हैं कि इससे ऊपर जो है जाओगे तो इंश्योरेंस लग जाएगा, इसके ऊपर जो है टीडीएस वीडीएस सब लग जाएगा, इसके ऊपर जो है there will be all social security benefits, then maybe they will not hire, they will never try to grow. Or at least, yes, social security should be there, but there should be equal flexibility in removing the workforce when your profits, margins, etc. is decreasing. So labor laws flexibility, that is there. Efficiency of workforce, that is there. Trade unions, those also determine potential GDP. Next, technological advancement. ये बताइए, इलॉन मस्क की कंपनी में ज्यादा गाड़ी वो होगा या not Elon Musk. I mean, whether cars will be produced more in Mahindra, or whether cars will be produced more in automated robotic car assembly companies. चलिए वो भी छोड़ दीजिए, एक सिंपल टेक्निक लीजिए, फ्रैकिंग टेक्नोलॉजी. Fracking is a technology used for utilizing shale gas. Does India have fracking technology?
No.
No, we don't. So will we be able to utilize shale gas? We will not be able to extract shale gas. Shale gas extract नहीं कर पाएंगे. Our GDP will not grow at its potential GDP. So the levels of technological advancement also determine your potential GDP. Then human resource, not just labor force, human resource. For example, Delhi's disability adjusted life years, skills, education. Basically summary में demography dividend. This demographic dividend, this will give you both workforce as well as demand, both. So these are the determinants. More determinants you can write, for example, high inflation or kind of things. Now, what are the challenges to achieving potential GDP? One of the challenges, the topic that we are mentioning, inequality, rising inequality. Why is rising inequality a challenge? Okay.
Certain potential to be reached.
Low labor force participation.
Low labor force. No.
Low skill.
In a circular economy, सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी में अगर लोगों के पास डिस्पोजेबल इनकम कम है, so this will directly impact. If there is low disposable income, what will happen?
Demand.
low demand. If there is low demand, low production, it will again lead to low disposable income, because circular economy works like that. भाई लेबर को जो पैसा मिल रहा है वो फैक्ट्री में काम करके मिल रहा है, और जो वो प्रोडक्ट्स परचेज करेंगे वो फैक्ट्री के प्रोडक्ट्स को ही परचेज करेंगे. If they have less money, they will not purchase the product. Industry will not produce. They will fire the people. Unemployment will rise. Further demand will fall. और पैसा नहीं है उनके पास. Further, the company will have to reduce production. So this is the vicious cycle that economic survey talks about. So inequality अगर decrease होगी, so it will reduce the potential GDP, because low demand will lead to low production, leading to low disposable income, and this will create a vicious cycle. Okay. So first challenge is rising inequality. Then deglobalization. How deglobalization is a challenge to reaching potential GDP. Just a second. Okay. So deglobalization, it is a challenge because
Sir, raw materials inputs.
raw material input. By GDP you are producing, but the world is not welcoming products. It is not open to exports and imports. Will it affect the potential GDP?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes. So deglobalization, again, one of the challenges, because global economy or world economy is a market. What else? NPAs of banks, 4 balance sheet syndrome. 4 balance sheet मतलब corporate, banks, NBFCs and government. होगा क्या? बैंक्स ने लेंड किया एनबीएफसी को, एनबीएफसीज ने लेंड किया कॉर्पोरेट्स को, कॉर्पोरेट इज नॉट एबल टू पे बैक, कॉर्पोरेट का दिवालिया निकल गया, एनपीए, नॉन परफॉर्मिंग एसेट, बैंक इज इन ट्रबल, एनबीएफसी इज इन ट्रबल, government is in trouble because they have to bail out bank. No tax revenue या decreasing tax revenue plus subsidize sick PSUs. So NPAs of bank, this disrupts the entire economy. Government is not getting revenue. It has to go for recapitalization of banks. It has to also subsidize sick PSUs. So again, the factors, economic factors or factors of production, they are not utilized to their fullest potential. There is decrease in investment rate and savings rate. Both investment rate and savings rate, they have been declining since 2008. In fact, better would be to say they have been declining since 2012-13. और अगर investment rate और savings rate decrease होगा, obviously it will decrease production capacities. Fifth, high inflation.
Sir, I have heard that the only positive of inequality is increasing saving rates.
See, there is an interesting theory then that when the rich becomes richer, only a fraction of his income goes to aggregate demand. Most of his assets are invested, है ना? इन्वेस्टमेंट दो तरह की होगी ना, फिजिकल और फाइनेंशियल. जब आपको और मुझे पैसा मिलेगा तो मिडिल क्लास विल इन्वेस्ट इन एजुकेशन, हेल्थ केयर, इन फूड कंजम्पशन, बेटर हाउस. अब अंबानी अंटीला के क्या बनाएंगे? एक ही अंटीला बनाएंगे ना. So their increase in their income, it does not create a commensurate increase in aggregate demand, then increase in the income of the poorer half. इसलिए investment rate and savings rate will fall if inequality is rising. High inflation erodes growth. It is a tax on poor. Okay, so this is potential GDP. What is potential GDP? Determinants and challenges. Now, last topic of GDP topic, limitations on GDP. Why GDP is not the right indicator? GDP में ऐसा क्या है कि इसको इंडिकेटर के नाम पे भी नहीं लिया जा सकता इन राइट सेंस? बताइए.
So it does not take into account the distribution of income.
First, distribution of income. Okay.
सर इन्फ्लेशन काउंट नहीं होती इसमें.
इन्फ्लेशन देख तो लिया नॉमिनल और रियल में. First of all, it does not count or does not factor in negative externalities. Does GDP count the destruction of nature?
No.
तो लिख लीजिए, GDP does not capture destruction of nature, pollution, etc. GDP does not count or factor in inequality. GDP is a mere quantitative concept. It is merely a monetary tool to measure कि एक इकोनॉमी ने एक साल में कितना प्रोड्यूस किया है. Does it tell you कि किस कम्युनिटी, किस सेक्टर, किस स्टेट ने कितना प्रोड्यूस किया है?
No.
No. It would not tell you the inequality status. Maybe there is a case that 4-5 companies are responsible for 80 to 90% of rise in GDP. हमने ऊपर एक डेटा देखा था. According to World Inequality Report, top 1% of India account for 20% of national income or GDP. Now I'm using national income and GDP interchangeably here. Prelims में दोनों different terms हैं. Okay, national income is a much refined concept. इसमें depreciation आ जाता है, nationality आ जाती है. There are various things. So top 1% is accounting for 20% of the national income. So it is not factoring in inequality. Does GDP count the work done by women? Household work?
No.
No. So right.
No.
SA, system of national accounts, excludes household work of women as unpaid labor. It has a monetary value. It is definitely contributing to production. By a woman working in her own household, she is the cook also, she is the cleaner of the house also, she is also taking care of the house expenditure management, everything that would require. She's also taking care of the children. That would require 4 or 5 different people who you will otherwise pay. So that will be counted in services. But SNA excludes the household work of women as unpaid labor. Then GDP does not reflect the improvement and deterioration
So please repeat the point.
GDP does not include or reflect the improvement or deterioration in standards of living.
Sir, improvement and deterioration.
Improvement or deterioration in standards of living. So because of all these limitations, we have a debate between growth versus development. There is growth, there is development. What is the difference between growth and development? First of all, growth, it is a mere monetary evaluation और डेवलपमेंट जो है इट इज अ क्वालिटेटिव इवेल्युएशन. ग्रोथ में आपने देखा कि कितना पैसा आपने कमाया. डेवलपमेंट में देखेंगे दिस मनी यू आर स्पेंडिंग ऑन व्हाट. बहुत सिंपल सा कंसेप्चुअली अगर देखा जाए, सपोज टुडे यू अर्न 1 लाख रुपीज. You could have invested in a course, not by us, by Harvard, suppose, where you could have learned new skills, whereas you went and purchased what? Tell me something wasteful expenditure that people make. You purchased a concert ticket.
Beauty products.
Drugs. Okay, I was talking about less harmful. So you purchased a concert ticket of Yo-Yo Honey Singh for 1 lakh rupees. So your income will definitely show growth from last year, but development is 0. So when you expand this to the economy, to the country, etc. So right in first point in growth, growth refers to increase in GDP or per capita income. Over a period of time. Whereas economic development is progressive change in the socio-economic structure of the country. Both institutional and technological. Second, it is a quantitative concept, whereas development, it is a qualitative aspect. It is a better indicator in developed countries, whereas development, it is a better indicator in developing countries. Developed countries, which are very equal societies, there is general affluence, everybody is above $5,000 per capita. वहां पर growth जब अगर measure करेंगे तो everybody is becoming better. But in developing countries, if the growth is increasing, it does not necessarily mean that inequality is decreasing. So growth is measured by GDP, GNP, etc. Such kind of indicators, GDP, GNP, whereas development is measured by? What is the indicator to measure development?
HDI. Human.
Okay, green GDP, HDI,
GNH.
green GDP, Human Development Index, gross national happiness. So let us do these indicators. Or ways to address development. Again, this is just at the level of measurement. What should we measure? This is not the steps to actually bring development or bring growth, but how to measure. So first is green GDP. What is green GDP? Okay. It is used for expressing GDP after adjusting for environment degradations. Is used for expressing GDP after adjusting for environment degradations. It is an attempt to measure the growth of an economy by subtracting the costs of environmental damages from the GDP. In India, the Comptroller and Auditor General, CAG, conducts an environmental audit so there is an environmental audit. Within the broad framework of compliance audit, यानी जो environment laws हैं उसको follow किया गया है कि नहीं, and performance audit like environment impact assessment, EIA, etc. Then next, Human Development Index. Human Development Index measures what?
Life expectancy.
Long and healthy life.
Life expectancy. Okay.
Knowledge. Decent standard of living.
health,
Schooling.
education and economy. He will come to that. पहले एक बार लिख लीजिए. It is a statistical tool to measure a country's overall achievement in its social and economic dimensions.
सर एक बार रिपीट कर दीजिए प्लीज.
It is a statistical tool used to measure country's overall achievement in social and economic dimensions. This was given by a Pakistani economist, Mehboob al-Haq. So it is based on, this is a composite index based on 3 indicators: health, education and economy. Health, education and economy. Or health, maybe there are subtopics in it. If you just want to write life expectancy at birth, पैदा होते समय आप कितने साल जिएंगे. I think for India it is how many years? 74 point. I think 74.5. No? We want to reach 77, right? Just a second. Then education में कितने साल आपने पढ़ाई करी, mean years of schooling, और expected कितना था, expected years of schooling. और GDP में आप क्या नापेंगे, real gross national income, और वो भी per capita. You will be measuring gross national income per capita. You will be dividing by the population. One of the reasons India poorly performs is per capita हमारा income high है कि low है?
Low.
Low, because you will have to divide $3 trillion by 1.35 billion. Obviously it will come out to be low. Now you can understand why it was per capita. So this is the Human Development Index. Finally, gross national happiness. GNH index. Gross national happiness. This was coined by His Majesty the King of Bhutan. If you want to write the name, Jigme Singhe Wanchuk. GS Wangchuk. Not important, you can just write index given by Bhutan. That measures not just growth, not just economic aspects, but also gives equal importance to non-economic aspects of well-being. It has 4 pillars. What are its 4 pillars?
So could you please repeat the last one?
Not just economic aspects, but gives equal importance to non-economic aspects of well-being. Gross national happiness measures political, economical happiness, political happiness, environmental, and cultural. You can draw either this diagram or you can draw the 9 domains of gross national happiness. अगर डोमेन बनाने हो तो सर्कल वाला बनाइए. What are the 9 domains? Health, psychological well-being, mental health, time use, education. Many of you have now become unhappy. Living standards, community vitality or community harmony, ecological diversity, and good governance. सारे पॉइंट हमको सिर्फ एक ही के लिए मिलेंगे, है ना? Only for good governance. So these are the 9 domains of gross national happiness. Finally, way forward, inclusive growth or sustainable development. What is inclusive growth? It is growth plus redistribution. What is sustainable development? It is growth plus redistribution plus environment conservation. Or you can draw one more diagram. For sustainable development, Paris Climate Deal, Sendai Disaster Risk Resilience, if climate is protected, there will be less disaster. We can focus on sustainable development. And with more focus on development, we can take care of the environment more. Okay, so that is all on this topic. Thank you everyone for your time and patience.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.